Dear friends, from Polio and Deformity Correction Center, I will like to show you the role of Elizro and Hexapod in the treatment of clubfoot. Dear friend, as you know, the treatment of CTV revolves around, in most of the cases, by Ponseti method plaster. Earlier, we used to do too much of soft tissue surgeries. Slowly, we are shifting towards Elizero or external fixators. And with the passage of time, we are using hexapod or multiple of them hexapods. First of all, let us focus on what is hexapod. Hexa means six, pod means feet or the legs. If two fragments they are connected with the help of six rods, and if we change the length of these rods, we can shorten them, we can lengthen them, we can shorten some of them, we can lengthen some of them. By doing these, we can change the position of the fragments, which can be placed in the desired position relative to each other. To understand this in a much more easier way, if without hexapod, such kind of fragment as has been shown in this tibial displacements, first we have to dissect, then we have to apply the hinges to correct the angulation, then translation devices for translation, then rotational devices for rotation. So, this deformity, as in this case in the tibia, needs so many steps. But if we use hexapod system, then we can do all these things in one go and in a much simpler way. To make it more understandable, if there is an ant and it has to go to the roof from the floor, first it will go on the floor, then it will change the path and climb up the wall to reach the top of the wall. Again, it will change the path and walk on the roof to reach the desired position. But suppose it is not an ant but it is a wasp, it will reach the point on the roof by directly flying to the desired position. So, hexapod is like a wasp, it makes a direct trajectory, and ant is like a Elizarov with hinges correction. The correction in the Elizarov with hinges is just like an ant, and with hexapod it is just like a wasp. In both the things, even to use a hexapod, you need Elizarov, basic thing, and the hexapod just replaces the hinges. It creates a direct trajectory from the present position to the desired position, hence saves the time, simplifies the corrections, and it is less strenuous to the regenerate. In next of my slides, you will appreciate its applications. So, first of all, I am trying to show you he's an 18-year-old male. On the right side, he presented to me at the age of about 1 year and posterior medial release was done. So initially, these children who are not treated with Ponseti or we were not having Elizero or Hexapod, we used to treat these cases with the help of posterior medial releases. And you can see almost the feet are alike. But everybody is not that lucky to come at the age of 1 year and get these kind of treatment till he's mature. Most of the time, they get recurrences or there is neglected CTV, non-treated CTV, or relapsed CTV. So, dear friends, we started our journey with posterior medial release, and now I am trying to show you another case. At the age of 5 years, this patient came, and you can see both the feet they are deformed. Both the feet they are deformed from behind and front. There is varus at the heel and forefoot midfoot deformities. So we treated 11 years before with the help of Elizero and hinges. And you can see the frame. And after 11 years, you can see the kind of feet still she is having, almost normal. Another patient, at the age of 5 years, she came to us, and you can see earlier some surgeries they have been done. Still, the heel is in varus, the heel is in equinus, the foot is in adduction, the foot is in supination. After that, then we applied Elizero, as you can see on the extreme of the slide on the right side. And after the treatment, after 4 years, you can see the kind of feet she is having. And you cannot even differentiate which foot was earlier, which was suffering from CTV. I requested them, how is the child doing? And you can see the kind of functional achievements, the kind of functional level after such kind of surgeries with minimum intervention. And you can see the level of functioning without opening much of the sides like posterior medial releases. Now I will like to discuss another case. He was treated by me with Ponseti at the age of 4 months. He was lost in the follow up, and he reported 8 years back, at the age of 8 years, with heel which was varus and foot which was in adduction and supination. He was treated with Elizero and Hexapod. Elizero was there along with the hinges. In spite of the hinges, we used Hexapod. And you can see 2 days after the operation, the heel was in varus and equinus correction was done with the help of unconstrained frame, and foot correction was done with the help of Hexapod. In the AP view, you will appreciate there is varus. AP view of the foot. So we directed the Hexapod that we need restriction so that at the level of the joints, midfoot joints, we can create distraction so that we can achieve correction. So varus was corrected with restriction, with rotation, internal to external so that the pronation which was there is to be will be relieved. This is in one plane, in frontal plane, in one plane AP view of the foot, where we can correct varus or the adduction. In another plane, in lateral view, we can correct the cavus. We give directions, we want distraction, and instead of plantigrade at the midfoot, we want dorsiflexion so that cavus can be corrected. Rotation remains the same in both the AP and lateral, the same rotation. So we in all the planes, AP view, lateral view, and rotational issues, they can be resolved in one go with the help of hexapods. So you will appreciate in the pre-corrected position there is adduction of the forefoot, midfoot, which has been resolved after the correction. Also, there is cavus and supination pronation issues which have been resolved in the post correction. Dear friend, as you all know, after the correction, you have to maintain the correction, double the time, double the time you have spent in correcting the deformity so that a memory remains there in the soft tissue and the chances of recurrence they are much less. So two things: one, you have to maintain it for double the amount of time you have spent in correcting it. Second thing, you have still to overcorrect it. Why overcorrect? Because there is always slight degree of loss of correction, especially when you are correcting at the soft tissue level. Once you are correcting at the bony level and the child is not mature, then also you have to slightly overcorrect. So, dear friends, this is 8 years before on the left side. On the right side, you can see 8 years later, once the child was mature and almost one cannot differentiate which foot was at fault before the surgery. And I will like to show you another case. He's 13-year male. He came to me. He was suffering from equinus and varus of the heel, along with cavus and adduction of the foot. You can very well appreciate there is equinus. In the picture on the extreme of the slide on right side. For correction of equinus, you have first to see lateral view ankle. And what do you want to see in that? We want to see whether the talus top is flat as on the right side, which is the affected side, or you can appreciate the kind of normal talus on the left side. If there is no difference in the top of the talus, then soft tissue distraction will help. But if there is flat top talus, then soft tissue distraction will not help, and you have to resolve this with the help of a supramalleolar osteotomy. This is a frame which was made to correct supramalleolar osteotomy. At the hinges, we gave the amount of correction which we want to achieve. One thing. Second thing, in between the two rings on the right side, which are proximal rings, you can see all the rods are on the posterior side, so that the holes on the anterior side are kept empty so that shank pins or wires they can be passed. This is pre-operative planning in these cases to erect a frame which is for the leg. This is the clinical picture per operative. You can appreciate the amount of equinus he is having. We did TA tenotomy and clinical picture from the bottom side. We did supramalleolar osteotomy, slightly dissected it and then translated it posteriorly. If you correct the equinus of the ankle or the foot, you with the help of a supramalleolar osteotomy, you have to translate the distal fragment posteriorly because the cora is distally and osteotomy is proximally. The principles of correction they remain the same. The osteotomy rule 1, 2, 3 they remain the same. And you can see the patients they are comfortable and they are functionally walking during the corrections of their feet with the help of Ilizarov or Hexapod. Before the surgery, once he was operated at the age of 13 years, you can see equinus of the heel as well as varus and other foot deformities. At the age of 7 years, after the 7 years of surgery, at the age of 20 years, I requested for the photographs and you can see, appreciate the amount of correction which was achieved and which was sustained till he was adult. I like to show another case who is 24 years of a male. He was treated many times earlier with the surgeries on both the sides. This is the clinical picture. There is equinus, cavus, varus. Only posterior tibial vessels they were felt. Dorsalis pedis was not felt. And it was a rigid foot. You can appreciate the amount of scarring which was produced due to the previous surgeries. First, the right side was operated, and you, to correct the equinus, you have to see, as I have told you, the top of the talus. The top of the talus is flat here, so we cannot correct the equinus by distracting. We have to resort to supramalleolar osteotomy. TA lengthening was done along with Stendler, and you can appreciate the supramalleolar osteotomy along with midfoot osteotomy. 2 hexapods they were erected. We want supramalleolar osteotomy should posteriorly translate and there should be dorsiflexion. Just imagine if there is only and only dorsiflexion, the foot will translate anteriorly as the cora of the correction is distally, so you have to translate it at the osteotomy side, the foot posteriorly. It's a must. If you will not translate, the whole of the foot will come on the front and will make the walking very difficult. Second, for the foot, another hexapod has been erected so that cavus, pronation, varus, they can be corrected. This case, because it was very rigid, we resolved by not distracting only, but by a osteotomy, midfoot osteotomy at the Midfoot osteotomy, we corrected cavus, pronation, and varus. You can see day one, the tibia and the foot are almost in one line. You can also appreciate there is varus of the foot, and at the age of at the end of 3 months after the surgery, you can see the foot is almost plantigrade. One thing. Second thing, the foot has been posteriorly at supramular osteotomy, posteriorly translated. These are the X-rays. Almost the osteotomy supramular has united midfoot corrections. They have been done. These are the post-operative X-rays, and you can appreciate the whole foot has been translated at the supramular osteotomy. After 1 year, the other side was similarly treated with two hexapods, one for the foot correction by, by midfoot osteotomy, another for supramular osteotomy to correct the cavus, correct the equinus. And you can appreciate the plantigrade foot has been on the other side achieved. These are the X-rays. Right side, 2 years later, these are the X-ray. Left side, 1 year later. This is the pre and post-operative clinical picture of this patient. Another 18 years old clubfoot male. So we want to correct equinus as well as foot deformities of cavus, adduction, and as you can appreciate, the top of the talus is not flat. It can allow for correction by soft tissue dissection. So this is the preoperative planning. With skin incision has been shown in the preoperative planning. Here we did shortening of the leg. Why we did shortening of the leg? As Professor Dorpelle has suggested that earlier he was emphasizing limb lengthening. Now he is emphasizing in limb shortening as well. What does that mean? If we shorten the leg, like in this case, there will be less strain on the neurovascular structures. One thing. Second thing, the correction of the ankle will be much easier because the soft tissue, fascia, tendons, they will be relaxed and they will allow the joints to be corrected in these long standing congenital deformities. Also, the skin complications will be much less, and at a later stage, we can correct the length issue. Second incision is there for tendo-Achilles length. Third incision is there for triple orthodesis. And another incision for posterior medial release. We also mark dorsalis pedis before the surgery. So before surgery, we almost perform imaginary surgeries and the sequence of them, which will which will be the first step, which will be the second step, will be the third step. And this is post-operative. Almost equinus has been corrected, but rest of that can be corrected with the help of hexapod at the ankle joint, dorsiflexion can be achieved. And if there is some malalignment of at the level of the shortening, that can also be tackled with the hexapod. So, dear friends, the journey is still on, the patient is still admitted. So, we started with posterior medial release, then we went on to Ilizarov only with the hinges, then we added Ilizarov with hexapod, then we added Ilizarov with hexapods, number of them. Now we are also shortening the leg. And in the last, to summarize one more thing, that you have to see the top of the talus before these adults are bigger children corrections. If the flat top is talus is there, you have to resolve it with the osteotomy, supramalleolar. Otherwise, distraction across the ankle joint. I am really thankful to all of you who have paid attention to go through my video, and I welcome you all to see how these things corrections they are done at Bhola Hospital, Polio and Deformity Correction Center, Kurukshetra. Thanks one again.